On March 25th, 2025, Trump put out the modernization payments to and from bank accounts. Checks are gone by September. There'll no longer be checks going back and forth. We are traditionally reframing the financial system to distributed ledger technology, on-demand liquidity, and we're removing the slow DOS system. Okay, number two, the OCC, the Operation of Currency Control, said that banks they reminded them once again, you're allowed to custody cryptocurrency. Another level, the FDIC last week, which is part of your traditional banking system, said you are now allowed to operate with cryptocurrency with no prior authorization. You can now, banks, operate in cryptocurrency. So we got the OCC, the Operation of Currency Control, the FDIC telling banks, hey, you can engage in crypto without prior authorization. And lastly, the SEC. Paul Atkins, the new chairman, is going to bring in regulatory framework. On April 9th, when is this meeting coming up? It's on April 9th. It's right here. So U.S. just in the House of Representatives to hold a hearing on cryptocurrency market structure and legislation on April 9th. So now what we're waiting for is stablecoin regulation, regulatory clarity. That's when your banks are going to come in. So you have to stay calm. The shock that we're feeling is because of promises made, promises kept. Trump is shocking the crypto markets, the stock markets. Everybody's panicking. Once all the dust settles, what goes down goes back up. So if you know what you hold, this is the greatest blessing in human history.
And how is everybody doing today? Hopefully everybody is doing well and amazing. We want to welcome you all to the Hello Plaza in the Metaverse that you can join us from your cell phone, from your laptop, from your iPad. And yes, if you do, but you don't need them, your VR headsets, and come and join us in the Hello Plaza. Hit that big button that says thehellolllc.io, our amazing biz in a box, more than a website. It is an experience into our actual Hello LLC and what we do and how we do. And we pivot businesses from 2D to 3D, which is why we're having this amazing conversation, because crypto is here to stay, ladies and gentlemen. How the rise of digital currency will impact you on an everyday basis, and definitely for you business owners, this is definitely a topic that you cannot pass by, sweep over, and just act like it's not going to happen, because it's happening right now. And that is why we shared with you Coach JV King that we've been following for at least 6 to 7 years. Following this process, we are not financial advisors. We're not going to be telling you what to invest in, why you should invest in. We are going to be talking about the basics and the fundamentals and why you should not have your head in the sand and just swipe this away like we did with real estate, like we did with Apple, like we did with Amazon, like we did when it came to, internet and social media for our business. This is happening, and it's happening now, especially when big banks and corporations and investment firms are implementing cryptocurrency. And some of you have probably already gotten an email or a letter or a phone call saying, hey, would you like to invest in some cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, some of these other currencies that are out there that we've talked about for the longest. And now people are really and definitely should be paying attention. And you guys all know I have my amazing other half, Miss Tara. She is definitely in tune with this topic. So she's going to be forward leading this conversation. I'm going to try to keep her in the boundaries where it's, everybody can understand it. And she doesn't go over our heads, because trust me, she knows a whole lot about this topic. And she definitely can take you to the rooter to the tutor, especially on these conversations. And so we're going to play some videos for you guys to understand this as well throughout the day. As you guys know, we're always going to bring you some additional information from some other sources, some other people, so you can hear them and not just hear us. But I definitely want to turn this over to Tara and let her share with us how, that the crypto is here and it's here to stay. Especially with all the amazing information that she watches on a daily basis, to really debunk a lot of people that are out there that we hear on a daily basis that talk about crypto, don't know about crypto, and saying how it's a fad and saying how it's not going to happen. And there's banks that are already saying, give us the green light, and here we go. So without further ado, love, what would you have to share on today's topic? Talk to us, baby.
Hola, mi amigos. So, hello, my friends. It's great to be here. Of course, yes, David is absolutely correct. I love this topic. But before we get going, I just want to say thanks. Thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning into this conversation. And the goal of this conversation is bring knowledge so you guys have more knowledge in your possession to make an educated choice that is best for you and your family and where you're going with your goals in your life, right? So that's the goal of this conversation. But at the end of the day, crypto's not going anywhere. We could stop the conversation now and just say crypto is not going anywhere. I have a funny story. I've shared this before in past rooms. 2000, let's see, we're in 2015. So this year, I'm sorry, 2025. Woo, I'm back 10 years ago. So about 2010. I remember between 2010 2012, that time period, I was sitting in a barber shop and I'm getting my hair cut. And for most people that don't know, I usually get like a fade on the sides of my hair. So I was getting the side of my hair cleaned up, faded up, and I was just jamming out, listening to music. And, there was another barber in there cutting someone else's hair, and he was a few chairs over. And it was just us four people, my barber, me, and those two people. And essentially what happened was, as anybody knows, when you're in a shop or when you're in a store, you can hear other people's conversations. And so of course I was listening to their conversation. So yeah, call me nosy, but I was listening to their conversation because it was like this out loud. And they were talking about cryptocurrency. And the gentleman in the chair was asking his barber, "Hey man, are you in crypto?" And he's like, "Nah, you man, I think I missed the boat. Like, how much is Bitcoin now?" And at that point, guys, it was in like the between $1,000 and $2,000, 1,500 ish at that moment, but it was fluctuating, right? And so he said, "No, I think I missed the boat." And the guy's like, "No, you can." That guy. And so at the end of the day, I think I missed the boat too. I can't get into cryptocurrency now. I've missed that I don't got $1,500 just laying around to buy one. Now, mind you, if anybody bought a whole Bitcoin at $1,500 or less back, before 2012 versus what it is now, you're sitting pretty, right? You've almost 10x your money if that's the case. So almost. But so my point being is that is still the MO. We are 15 years later, and I say that because it was close to the beginning of David and I's relationship when I heard that conversation. And so David and I are rolling into start the 15th year here pretty soon. And so that is the nuance. For the last 15 years, people have been having their head in the sand, not knowing. I was one of those people too. I watched a TikTok yesterday or 2 days ago that shared a gentleman. He's pretty savvy in the cryptocurrency market. And he was walking around kind of doing the Jay Leno and, back in the day, asking people questions on the street. He asked probably 20, 30, I shared this last week, 20 or 30 people. And he said the majority of people were like, "No, I don't know what crypto is," or "I missed the boat because it costs too much to get in," because they see Bitcoin, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, $100,000. And that's a house, and people are like, "What house are you buying with that money?" Well, there's a few houses still out there. But anyways, point being is people are unaware, uneducated about where we are within the crypto space. And they think they've missed the boat. And honestly, that's what the big dogs want you to think. That's what the people in, as my little air quotes are up, the people in control, that's what they want you to think. They want you to think that you've missed the boat, you don't have an opportunity. Because if you live in the world of "there's no opportunity here for me," that means they get to take the opportunity, and then you become the tester. You become the person that they're utilizing the opportunity against, right? And so that's why it's so important to understand. First of all, let's debunk some of these myths. It is not too late to be in cryptocurrency. We are still early. Less than 4% of the United States population understands what cryptocurrency is. It is less than that on a worldwide scale. So you have to understand, listening to this conversation, educating yourself about this conversation, you are at the beginning of this. You are still in the front forward of this. conversation, of this movement, of this industry. Yes, there's people that have been in for the past 15, 20 years. There's people that have been working on it for, since 2020 or 2000. But you have to understand, those are the people that developed what we're now looking at to utilize in our businesses, be part of our personal asset portfolio. So you just have to know you're still early. Here's another myth that I want to debunk. A lot of people say, well, I don't have $75,000, $100,000 to buy a Bitcoin. Congratulations. I don't have, that just sitting in my bank account either. Do I have it probably somewhere now? It's probably somewhere, but I don't have that just sitting in cash flow in my bank account ready to drop 100 grand on a Bitcoin, one Bitcoin. It's not going to happen. Guess what? You don't have to, and I don't have to. When it comes to cryptocurrencies, you can buy fractions of it, right? So you can buy what you got $20, you can put $20 against it. It's kind of like walking into this casino and saying, all right, I got $100 bill. Give me $100 worth of chips. I'm going to go, do whatever I do with it, right? So that's the same kind of concept. It's fractional. You can purchase fractions of one whole unit. You want to hold a whole unit especially if you're in the Bitcoin side of things and whatnot. But at the end of the day, if you have something like that entity and that asset that is really a high denomination and not over 80% of the United States does not have does not even have $1,000 sitting in their checking account or their savings account. So let alone $100,000, right? So understand that you guys can get in where you fit in. And let's debunk the last myth, which is you can't afford it, because I already started that conversation, right? You can. You need to sit down. You need to look through your ass of what you're spending, and you need to get real frank with yourself and go, do I need that Starbucks coffee every morning? Or do I need to be buying a Starbucks coffee from the store every day so I can make it at home, in the sense that just go and get a different type of coffee so you're not spending $20, $30 on a bag of coffee. Instead, you're spending $10 on a bag of coffee, and you're putting that other $10 or $20 into cryptocurrency. It's what are you willing to sacrifice now? Sacrifice for? Are you willing to make sacrifices now? So that way you can have the long run and be, even keel and all taken care of and golden in the long run. This meaning you personally or your business, or are you willing to, no, I like the life, the nice things of life. I like the finer things in life now. I'd rather experience those now, and I'm not worried about that in the future. Now, let me share something with you guys before I park this scooter and pass this mic back to Mr. Jones. I used to be the same way. I was that person that said, no, I'm making $100,000 in my corporate career. I've worked hard for that money. I'm entitled to do what I want to do. I want to spend the vacations or buy clothes or buy shoes. I'm going to do that. Hey, I worked for that money. And what I didn't realize was that I had a broke mindset. I wasn't broke, in my actual, pocketbook, but my mind was broke, because I thought, hey, let me spend my money now and not, put away for a rainy day in the future, which we've all been taught to save up for a rainy day, however you choose to save up, but save up for a rainy day at some point, right? And that is what happens at the end of the day, that most of us won't make that sacrifice. And I will share with you that David and I, for the last almost 9 years, have made that sacrifice to show up for not only our business, but also to make that sacrifice in our investment portfolio. And guess what? I used to get my nails done 2 times a month and my toes done, just my fingernails, but my toes were done like 3 times, 4 times a month. I'd get my hair done once a month. I'd be out buying, clothes, this, that, and the other, food. I love me some food, by the way. So at the end of the day, I had that. I'll spend it now, and I don't care. I put a little away for the rainy day, but like David says, our parents didn't teach us to how to actually make our money work for us. They only told us to save your money and plan for the future. And they didn't teach you how to do that. And so at the end of the day, we're not going to teach you how to do it either, because we're not financial investors. Let's just make that clear. But what we are going to do is we're going to share with you that, hey, you haven't missed the boat. There is still opportunity for you and your business, and you need to take action. You need to get real with yourself, and you need to hold yourself accountable where you need to go ahead and trim the fat on your expenses so you can roll that money into something that might produce generational wealth for you in the future if you choose to, a proper plan of attack, right? So guys, we sing this from the mountaintops. We are just getting started in cryptocurrency, and the fact that we have an administration that's now currently in the White House that is pro cryptocurrencies and digital assets, we're going to see a lot more movement. David and I do not, at the Hello LLC, we do not talk politics nor religion, because at the end of the day, everybody's got their viewpoint on it, and that is not what our point of conversation is, to have a debate. Our conversation here is to share with you what the facts and what is so that way you can make an educational choice. And if you want to go have a debate with someone, it's like a friend who loves cryptocurrency too, you might pick up some knowledge from this conversation and be able to go utilize that in your debate somewhere else, right? But the point being is, and why I share that is because today's videos will speak a little bit about the current administration that we have in the office. And I do understand that is not, again, we don't speak that. So I don't want you guys to think this is a political conversation. Nope. This is a conversation of what the facts are and what is so and what is happening. So at the end of the day, you can position yourself to make sure that you are taken care of, right? And that's the biggest matter that's at play, is because let's just tell you, the cavalry is not coming to save you. The prince on the white horse is not riding up to come, rescue you from all of this drama. And a lot of times people expect to sit around and, oh, they'll take care of me, or, oh, this will work, or, oh, that'll work. And what happens is that it won't, because if you are not making a move, then someone's making a move on you. And you might be completely oblivious to it, but a lot of times you have to understand that that is just the way this game works. And I don't want to be cruel or crude, but it is what is so, guys. And once you get and sniff the coffee, smell the roses, and understand this is how the game is played, you have the rules, then you can position yourself, your company, your family, your portfolios, your interest in the way that best serves you. So, long story short in all this, guys, is let's get rocking and rolling. Take some risks in the sense of, hey, I'm going to put my $10 on this. Well, okay, and this is what David and I share about investing, anybody choosing to invest. Again, we are not financial advisors. We are just sharing with you what we have done. And this is the conversation David and I have had to have with ourselves, when we were starting to think about investing in cryptocurrencies years ago. We would say, look, don't spend the rent money. Make sure the money that we are spending is not stuff that we need. First of all, that is the most important step. Make sure you're getting things taken care of. We trimmed the fat on our expenses. We found some extra, extra stuff just lying around that we could go ahead and invest. And the beautiful thing about that is then what happened from that point is that we would share with each other, look, we don't know about this digital asset, aka cryptocurrency, that we're going to invest in. We've read all the white pages. We've done all of the research that we can find. We've listened to other people's opinions, good, bad, and indifferent. We've done the gauntlet to make sure that we're educated on this before we invest. And by the way, guys, that's what you want to make sure of. Make sure you're doing your own research. It's great to listen to David and Tara share their point of view, but make sure you take this information and go fact check it. Go, wait and weigh it against the what other people are saying. Like, do not take one source of, oh, this is the end all be all, and I'm going to listen to this, because nobody has that, not even us. Not even us. No one has that. It is an asset. And now it is, it is an asset that has a little more volatility than like, what you would see in gold or silver or minerals like that. So you have to just make sure you're protecting yourself. You could be a real risky investor and be like, I'm all in. There you go. That's your choice, whatever you want to do. But at the end of the day, we always suggest what we did, which was make sure you feel good about it and make sure that you say, okay, if I was driving down the highway and I rolled the window down and this $10 just flew out the window, meaning I lost it, am I going to be okay with that? Yeah, okay. Well, then I'm okay with making that investment. Just really understand all of that. The other thing, before I pass this back over to Mr. Jones, is a simple fact that one individual that in that interview, when that gentleman was walking around interviewing people, and most of them were not in cryptocurrency because they thought they missed the boat. The one lady was sharing, and she's like, I'm not in it because it's too volatile. Well, I'm not going to debate and say that she's wrong or she's right. But what I am going to say at the end of the day is that's life. And we all have to make our educated choices in what we want to take risk in and how much risk we want to take. And from her share, it's too volatile for her. She didn't want that. She wanted something that was real stable and guaranteed. And that might be some people, and that might not be others. So my point being is just understand where you're showing up, what you are needing, where you're at within your finances. Some of us guys, I get it. Some people are working 3-4 jobs, trying to make ends meet because of the current situation with the economics. I totally understand. So again, just sharing this information so that way you don't always have to be in the position that you're in. Mr. Jones, back to you, my love.
Yeah, and one of the things I definitely want to point out when you were sharing that story with the young lady, right? Of it's too volatile. Is she repeating something that she heard from somebody else without her doing her own research? Or did she really go and do her own research and look at the white papers and look at the difference between meme coins and utility coins and Bitcoin and all the information that they need to know? Because there's so many times that we hear things from our friends, from our family, that they think is one way, and when we really go look at it, it's something completely different, and it's something that we should have been paying attention to, or our friends were completely wrong. And so when you do hear people say, oh, it's volatile, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, this is why we ask you guys, even when we talk about metaverse, when somebody says, oh no, the metaverse, that's not the future. Hold on, time out. Where did you hear that from? Have you actually went in the metaverse? Have you actually did some research on the metaverse? Did you go into the metaverse for fun, or did you go into the metaverse for playing games? How long were you in there for? An hour, 10,000 hours, 500 hours? What was your time limit in? And when you really dig deeper into those detailed questions, ask yourself, asking other people, then you really can get a true, feeling of where somebody is on that knowledge. Because look, everybody avoids to look bad, and everybody doesn't want to be, looking like they don't know something. So they're going to say anything and everything to make themselves look good, 100. And so that's why we ask you guys to take a step back and really do your due diligence, even on the things that we share with you guys. And that's why we're going to continue to share other people's point of views, bring you guys the good, the bad, right? We've done rooms on, the pros and the cons of metaverse, pros and cons of AI. We played the devil advocates, on all phases of what we do and what we talk about, because we get it, because we too were in that same phase where we would take our friends' advice and their face value of what they thought of a current situation of what was going on, and then come to find out they were completely wrong. And, not to make them wrong or right, but it just gives us awareness of how we're sharing and how we're showing up and the information that we're really taking in. And if we're really, giving it the true sniff test, other than just trying to be in the cool club and be like, oh yeah, that's volatile because, my best friend said that, she didn't like it because she invested, in the Hawk Tui, meme coin, and she lost all of her money. That was a meme coin, which is why we want to explain some of the differences between these coins and these cryptocurrencies that a lot of you have been hearing about, especially when we talk about the administration. Trump had a meme coin, or Ivanka had a meme coin, and a lot of people, got the rug pulled from up underneath them because that's a meme coin, right? A meme coin is a cryptocurrency that originates from the internet, means of humorous characteristics, often gaining popularity through social media. Prime example, one major meme coin that people start jumping on was Dogecoin, right? Dogecoin became popular and huge and made a whole bunch of people a lot of money when they first invested. And then people jumped on the bandwagon. And as we always know, all it takes is one monkey to mess up the whole show. And that is exactly what has happened, even with the actual president. What president was that did a meme coin? Brazil? Or Salvador?
No, no, it wasn't that Salvador.
It was one.
It was a South American president.
It was a South American president that put out a meme coin and did the rug pull again, right? And so when we talk about stable coins are currencies designed to minimize price validity and beginning pegged to a reserve asset such as the US dollar or the gold. Example including, Tether, this UST, this USDT, right? The USDC. Those are stable coins, right? And then we have the utility coin. The utility coin is where you guys need to be. This is a digital coin that provides users with access to a product or service within a blockchain system. They are not designed as an investment, but to facilitate operations within their respective platforms. And so that's the difference that some people didn't know. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. We've been, doing this for the last, 5 years, and I've just now caught on to all of these terms. So when people come into our rooms or people make, comments or statements, or, drop them in the comments, which is all welcome. We want you guys to ask these questions because that's what this is all about. If you don't know, please go ask ChatGPT, go ask Google, go ask somebody the questions so you're not sitting there guessing and not knowing, or be that person, because here in a little bit, this is going to be a key conversation, and it would be kind of like going, around the table and somebody asks you, about interest, and you have no clue what interest is. That's literally where we're getting with this cryptocurrency. So start educating yourself and understanding, the impacts of cryptocurrency, understanding that this is going to enhance our payment system. This is, going to decentralize our finances. This is going to allow cross-border transactions. This is going to allow us to tokenize so many different things and have smart contracts and supply chain transparency, loyalty programs that we've been talking about, such as gamification and things of that sort, fundraising, right? Reducing fraud, micropayments, ownership. So it has so many pros to us moving forward in this financial sector, because that's what this is. When we talk about cryptocurrency, this is the new wave of how we're transferring and, we're integrating and engaging with each other, and not just utilizing the old traditional, money and checks. And as you heard, JB King talked about, checks are going to be gone come, September. And Coach JB said that, what did I say?
JD.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, my bad. Yeah, two different guys, right? And so this is where we want you guys to really be paying attention, so you don't show up and be like, in September, hey, can I write a check? No, you can't write a check, because it will, no longer, you can't write a check any longer. And so with that being said, we're going to play our first video for you guys and really allow you to hear this from a different perspective as we move forward.
Something very strange happened with a post that the president made about cryptocurrency. That's like, if this happens, what else are you going to say? This could be exponentially